Hello. So it's been a while since I made the last video. A little bit more than that normal time that I take to do videos, but uh, again, not feeling that much of a drive to make videos. It's been other things that I've been focusing on lately, so just not too much videos. And plus, it's dry season where I live because I kind of live in a place that's equivalent to California or the Australian outback, some things like that, and it gets really dry, and then dust, and then stuff, and flu, and it's all a mess. You not feel that good. But today I wanted to make a video because uh I was thinking about Chester. You know, it's been what, almost it's been 80 years. Yeah, 80 years since, well, he passed away, and I wanted to think like, what if I had a time machine? I could just go there and tell him all the things that he needs to know, and he's not gonna he's not gonna kill himself. It's fine. It's fine. I'll convince him. Like, thinking that as like a small delusion in my head, like while I was, I don't know, eating or taking a poop or something. I don't remember when actually. But after that, I kind of started to go into a spiral on that, and right now it kind of made me realize other things, because when you start to think about Chester's life, and from start to finish, and in comparison to like the other members of Linkin Park, especially Mike, because well, Mike is kind of the best comparison we have as the media, and yeah, it's actually just the media. We don't have as enough information from all the other members of the band as we have for Chester and Mike. They're basically what we see the most. Like, that's just how it is. And also because many of the lyrics were written primarily by Chester and Mike and Mr. Hahn too, but again, we don't have too much, well, public known information about him. There is if you just look for it, but it's not common knowledge. That's kind of thing. And while listening to the hybrid theory, to Meteora, Minutes to Midnight, what else? Yeah, Living Things. Almost all the albums. I've been like listening to one by one, just sporadically these past few days. Not days, but weeks, months. I don't know. It's been just listening to it, and I kind of had like the opportunity to take a deeper look at what kind of the message of each single one of them was, and well, each one of them kind of represents a different thing. Each album, I like to think as more of an evolution. If it really, you can really tell like when you listen to it for long enough, the kind of evolution from the aging, the process of maturing from Hybrid Theory to One More Light. It's like you can see like people developing, but there was a certain trend where you kind of could feel what lyrics were more written by Chester, and which were lyrics were more written by Mike. There is a certain kind of something that creeps in and gets its presence just there, and that's not too obvious at first glance, but I mean, when you start listening to Linkin Park for enough time, the YouTube algorithm says, "All right, you like Linkin Park? Here's a YouTube short about it, or here's a something." It's just like small interviews and short clips and things. And as I would watch them, I would kind of just realize the stark difference between Mike and Chester, even though they were extremely similar. And what I want to say with that is, well, Mike, he, the sort of childhood he had is it's definitely more leaning to what Meteora and Hybrid Theory, what sentiment, the kind of way he grew up, the first feelings he had. It's basically that ones. But however, Chester, he had some of that. You could feel it, but it felt like he discorded with a lot of things that weren't some other lyrics, even though others he agreed upon very much. Others you can feel there's something when you listen in to the other songs, you know? Because you can kind of feel the dissonance between them, the slight dissonances. And Chester was somebody who was, well, was abused from a very young age and basically started life tripped and did not stop tripping. Even though good things happened, the tripping did not stop. It was drug abuse and alcohol abuse and divorced and divorce again and the many problems. And when you see Mike, he did have problems at first, but it felt like it started to kind of plateau after a certain time and reach a certain point of stability. And you could feel that as the albums progressed chronologically. Which just he did not have a break at any given moment. It felt like you could really see that it was at his limit all the time. I honestly think that it's it's surprising how he lived for so long in that way. From when first like the he was when I kind of realized at the time he was just not taking it anymore, you know. And when you have somebody who has this sort of problem, who has just been beaten down and just has no hope left. Basically, what Chester was just living in torture for I don't know how long, 41 years. And that relates to something that has been happening to me lately because I have a friend who, well, he has a certain condition that basically has around an 80% mortality rate in the first year, and it's some pretty nasty things. And it's something that you can see him just feeling bad, but you cannot do nothing about it. You know, it's well, it's a resonate friend, so it's like somebody who's just far away enough so you can see it, but you cannot act upon. However, and also that not only that he cannot treat you too much because he doesn't have the insurance or the financial condition to do a lot of the things. So I can, even though talking to him is cool and all, I can really feel that taking its toll on him. Not that he's sad or anything, but he just kind of feels like he just accepted it and he's gonna live life as best as he can for the time being. However, the hospitals that I go to treat my condition that has been talked about in other videos before, and I'm not gonna extend myself too much about it. But the hospital that I go to treat my condition, it's a public hospital here in Brazil, and it's I will say something. Most hospitals in Brazil, public hospitals, they are terrible, terrible. They do not work. However, this one knows completely how to do things. I mean, it pays a small price. He basically gives the privileges for the powerful people that need it, and so they can have funding to treat the other people. It's like it's a very rare occasion, but it's something that I have in my city. And I not realized, I discovered that it accepts foreigners, and it's not even hard to get. And it's a cutting edge hospital basically. It has basically everything that you ever wanted. All the best surgeons, all the best medics, free drugs that you need, and all those things. And so say, hey, I might actually could help him. I could give him a chance. I could help him out. I could just lead him and just give him hope for something. And then I went to talk about him. Said, there's this hospital, and you could go to it, and it could treat you and things, and you get all the equipment you need, and all the surgeries, and all the drugs, and everything you need to fix this condition. And it was a small back and forth, but in some, he basically said that what he needs is effectively a transplant, and this transplant would not help him at all because he would have to take medications that would make him more vulnerable to disease and things. So it wouldn't really increase his lifespan that much, or it would increase but decrease his comfort significantly, and that and that and that. But I couldn't help but and saying, "Oh, I don't have money for it." But I mean, that's not the first problem. It's not like we cannot fix that. That's the least of the problems. But I cannot help but feel a certain sense of maybe acceptance of death, maybe the giving it up. It's what I felt, and I am extremely, 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 extremely pissed off because what happened to him it's truly it's injustice, and I care for him. I think he's a very nice person, and he does not deserve what he's having, and just having basically this premature death at the cost of nothing. No. But I understand that. I cannot do anything about it and just leave the option for him and say, here you go. You want it? It's yours. And just leave the hand open, but and that's basically what I can do. And I think back to Chester again. Through everything that he said in his music, through all the people that he helped, through all the people that basically saved themselves because of him, and all the people that were around me, because as the more I saw interviews with Mike and other small little bits of things, and even more so, there's a video about Mike, Mike Shinoda's last meal, that one. If you take very much attention to that one, you kind of can realize who Mike is, like the person that he is, and understand, and the way he talks about the band and other things, and you can really understand that the band itself. Oh well, what you can pick up. I'm sorry, Mike. If you were watching this, if you're ever watching this, Mr. Mike Shinoda, I'm sorry if I am wrong. This is what only what I can see from outside. But what I could see is that they were awesome people. The band and everything that to Chester, they meant extremely much. And all those messages that he said and everything that he wrote and everything that he sang, it wasn't in vain, but that was just that feeling that just didn't go away, that necessity. And even though it is not something that is remotely exactly the same situation for Chester and for this friend, the feeling that I get is the same. I am feeling... I know this. I've seen this before. And I honestly felt like this is my friend. I felt like I could stop a tragedy. I said, I can help him more. I can, well, push on more. I can raise awareness about it, help people get around it, and then when I had that thought about, oh, maybe what if I had a time machine and I could go back and tell Chester about everything? It's not that. He knows. They both knew everything about it. However, they chose this path, and I think, and I'm not gonna respect their opinions. This is not an opinion. This is just a bad option. This is a bad decision. I don't want that. I think it's wrong. But it's their choice. But their choice is objectively wrong. And alright, they can be wrong, but they are wrong. And I don't think that is something that it should happen to them, because at the end they are injusticing themselves. And when I look back to the situation with Chester, I realize how little I can really do. Well, how it is. And sometimes there's days like this, there's just things like this that happen in life. And I do hope that for the little time that he still has around here, he opts to, well, fight for his life a little more. I really do. But if he doesn't, well, I will be angry at him. But more of myself, because there's nothing I can do about it, and there's just nothing I can do about it. What else can I say? I would be angry because I could not do nothing about it. I was completely impotent. Not in a I would blame myself, but in a, let's say, it could have been better. But again, could it be? Could you go back to Palos Verdes in the 20th of July 2017, knock on Chester's door, and tell him what he needs to hear? Could you? You, just a random stranger who just heard their music, instead of all the friends and family he had around him. So, it's just wrong. I do think it's wrong. And you should listen to the people around that support you and think that you should have better things. And trust them, at least, if you have reason to trust them. And I care about him. I hope he doesn't end this way. Goodbye.